You're listening to Table Talk with Toddy, the podcast where we have real talk about life and business as a creative living in the 21st century. I'm your host, Natasha Toddy Weston. Let's get into it. Hey, you guys, it's me, Natasha Toddy Weston. Welcome back to the Table Talk with Toddy podcast. I am so excited to be here with you today. I feel like a kid in a freaking candy store because it has been almost a year since I created fresh content for the show. But all of that is getting ready to change because it's a new year and your girl got a new attitude. And I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all I'm going to be here every week because that would be a bold-faced lie. But what I am here to tell you is that I have some exciting updates and it's going to benefit the both of us because it's going to help me to be more consistent. It's going to let you know what I've been up to and what you can expect moving forward and kind of like bring y'all into my world. And I'm going to try to keep this less than 20 minutes. Let's aim for 15 as a matter of fact. Who's counting, right? And so it's been a minute since I created some fresh content, but I've been dropping little mini episodes here on the show, kind of pulling out content from previous interviews I've done that I thought was still very valuable. And you guys have been seeming to enjoy those little mini bite-sized episodes so far. So I don't know, maybe I'll keep that trend going. But I just want to first and foremost say thank you so much because if you're even listening to this episode and you are ride or die, and I love you for that. I truly do love you for that because I know with all of the podcasts that are out here for us to listen to and all of the podcasts that we have at our fingertips, it's real easy to get distracted and, just kind of be like, oh, well, she's not uploading. I'm going to unsubscribe. So I truly want to say thank you so much for still being here. And yeah, let's go ahead and revive this baby because we ain't dead yet, honey. We are not dead yet. So let's just start with the very basics of where I've been. Now, I'm not going to try to give y'all my whole 2022 in a nutshell because who got time for that and who cares? And to be quite frank, most of you already follow me on social media, so you kind of already know that I ain't been doing much in 2022. I took a break from the podcast in 2022. I think the last episode was in April, and Casey and I, my good friend Casey and I talked about Web 3.0. And so, yeah, if you haven't listened to that episode, please go and check it out. So long story short, I thought I was about to hit the ground running with the podcast. And to be honest, I didn't feel like it no more. I don't have no other excuse but that I didn't feel like it anymore. I was just not in the headspace of creating content for the show. I didn't really know what to talk about. I felt like every topic that even came to mind was already being talked about so much. And to be honest, I kind of forgot that, even though things are talked about a lot, that doesn't mean I can't talk about it because nobody has my sauce, right? Nobody has my take. And that's something I preach to y'all all the time, and I forgot. So I just felt like I didn't have anything to offer the show, and I'm a firm believer of not opening my mouth unless I have something to say. And so I kept my mouth closed for most of 2022, but it was also really therapeutic for me. I did a lot of therapy. Y'all know I'm a huge therapy advocate. And towards the end of the year, I kind of reduced my sessions, not because I didn't need it, but because I was learning myself a lot better and I knew how to better deal with a lot of the things that were coming at me. So I did a lot of self-work in 2022. And I also realized that it was time for me to transition out of my business at that time as I knew it. Totspot Media, as many of you know, was a digital content and marketing agency where we primarily work with small business owners to help them stake their place online, i.e. we did a lot of website design, we did a lot of graphic design, and I was really starting to feel burnt out with that business, not in the sense that, I was just tired and I needed to take a break from taking on new projects, but burnt out in the sense that y'all know how it feels when a season of something is over, but you trying to fight it because that's what's familiar. I knew how to get website clients. People to this day still ask me to do websites, but it just became a hassle and I didn't enjoy it to the point where I just didn't want to do it anymore. I stopped taking clients and eventually God was like, shut it down. And y'all have heard me talk about that several times before in the past about when God tells you to shut it down, He means to shut it down. And so Totspot Media is still legally a business. That's still what I do. A lot of my business projects and ventures under. That name will always be here, but the digital content and marketing agency aspect of it did dissolve in January. And so we have officially wrapped all of our projects that were going on. And so I spent the last half of the year doing that, working through the rest of the projects that I had on my plate, kind of warming my clients up to the fact that I was not going to be focusing on a business-based business anymore, and that I would be transitioning more into the personal branding space, which you guys know has been my baby, has been my true passion for many years. I wrote my first real best-selling book, Brand You Like a Boss, in 2017. Jesus, 2017. And that book to this day has done so much. And one big aha that I got last year was that as well as that book did, when the hype died down, I let it die. And that book is still so relevant and it's still so needed. And so I'm excited to share that we will be reviving and breathing new life into Brand You Like a Boss this year. And a lot of great things are already in the works as far as that's concerned. But that's a whole nother subject for another day. So yeah, I took a break from the podcast, did lots of self-work, transitioned out of my business as I knew it. And to be honest, y'all, I'm going to keep it all the way a buck with you right now. I was really trying to wiggle my way out of the service-based business 100%. I just wanted to be an influencer. I just wanted to work and partner with brands. I just wanted to push my affiliate links and create my own products, write more books, do the podcast full time. I really did not want to do the service-based business exchange thing. But y'all, my heart just won't let me be. It's like every time I think I'm retiring from this stuff, God is like, yeah, no, you thought. So I know I was created to serve in this capacity, at least for now. So I'm just learning to be obedient to the rhythm that life has me dancing to instead of going against it, because it's a lot easier, right? And it'll be okay at the end of the day. I feel like as long as you're operating in what not necessarily feels good, but what you know you're supposed to be doing in the season, and everything will kind of line up for you. And so I'm excited because Talkspot Media, like I said, is always going to be there. As a matter of fact, I still help some of my clients with their podcasts on the back end through that name. But this year we are gearing up to open a new agency, which is going to be the #1 personal branding agency in the world, not in the United States, but in the world. And I will share more information on that later. But primarily, long story short, your girl is not working with business-based businesses anymore. I'm not building websites for businesses no more. I'm solely helping individuals who don't realize just yet, but with my help, you will soon, the power of your story and how you can literally use your story to live for a living. What I mean by live for a living is by creating impact through sharing your story so that you can influence people and eventually generate income so that we can all get to our bottom lines, baby. Whatever your bottom line is, whether it's to leave your 9 to 5, whether it's to create a second, a third, or fourth stream of income, to write books, to speak on stages, whatever your bottom line is, that is what I am here to help you do this year. I am on a mission to help 500 people. That's my goal. And I need y'all to help me. So 500 people this year launch their personal brands to get to that impact, influence, and income. And I'm going to do it. So y'all stay tuned for that. All right. So that's half of what your girl has been up to. Now, let me tell y'all as of recent, like in last 60 days, I'm talking 60 to 90 days, what has been going on, right? So Grant Cardone, I am not going to try to tell y'all who he is. I'm sure you all know who he is. And if you don't, just go look him up on Google. He is one of the world's top, most amazing business leaders out here. He's a straight shooter. He is no fluff, straight to the point. He's brutally honest. He's one of the most brutally honest people that I know. And I've followed him for years. I've even been subscribed and unsubscribed to his email list, but I wasn't ready for him in those seasons. But at the top of the year, something that he posted came across my feed on Instagram, and I immediately felt connected to him and connected to his messaging right now. And so it started with a free challenge that he did for 5 days, where he basically talked about the foundation of building a solid rock-proof 10x business. And I went through the 5-day challenge and got so much value from it. I eventually signed up for his paid group coaching program. And when I tell y'all, it has changed my life, honey. I scrapped my whole business plan and I started it from scratch based off of everything that he taught us. And from day one, he's been drilling in us that we need to become omnipresent. If we're trying to 10x our business and grow really heavily and become well known online so that we can get to our bottom lines, we got to become omnipresent. It's not enough for us to post once a month. It's not enough for us to create a piece of content, post a podcast episode, post a graphic on Monday, and then leave it there and say nothing else about it, right? Becoming omnipresent. And he also has been telling us one thing, and I'm going to give y'all this gem for free, even though I paid for it. But he basically is like drilling in us to pretend that nobody saw your last post. And y'all, I felt so crazy after hearing him say this for the first time, because I've created so much content over the last 10 plus years. I mean, from webinars to books to being on other people's platforms, being interviewed, being in magazines, so many tweets, so much content, so many great captions. And I posted a few times and forget about it. And I'm just like, I could be posting this content now and letting it work for me because it's still very evergreen. Evergreen means it's still very relevant. People can still benefit and find value in it. And so I came up with the strategy after him drilling that, and that's literally every day. I took like a week and I went through much of my old content, like on YouTube series that I've been a part of, old tweets that I had notes on, things like that. And I literally focused on 3 platforms: Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Mostly Facebook and Twitter. And I literally went and found so let me backtrack a bit because I want to paint the full picture for you guys. Through being a part of Grant's group coaching program, we've had to come up with an action plan for the year. So basically tying in what our end goal is for the year, what are our targets. And based on our targets, I went through all of my old content to find what would help me get to my target, what information, what content would educate, inspire, and entertain my audience to let them help me get to my end goal. I hope that makes sense. And so I went through all of that old content, and y'all, I invested in Buffer, which is a social media scheduling app. And I set 3 primary times of the day based off of my analytics and my numbers on each platform. And y'all, my content has been scheduled out from February on through the end of April so far. So I got to go back in and redo or add more to my queue. And so while I'm using this years of repurposed content, I'm getting reacquainted with my audience online, and in the back end, I'm creating new content. So I'm so excited, and I'm so glad that I invested in the way that I did. And I'll just say this, and we can move on. There are levels in investment. I never saw myself investing monetarily at the level that I have so far this year in itself. And it feels really good because I'm just at a place now where I can't go through the back door. I can't go to every networking event. I can't be learning from everybody because it's time to 10x everything that I'm doing, because I just been in the game too long to be still in the same spot or still feel like I'm chasing my tail. And so I'll say invest where you are, but invest a little bit above that, because that's how you're really going to see the needle move. I digress. We could talk about that at a later date if y'all want to. Now, the last update that I have, and this is the most recent thing that has happened that has truly gotten the fire rolling up under my butt again about this podcast, is I just got back from Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. I went to one of the top podcasting conferences and events ever, and it's called Podcast Movement Evolutions, and it took place last week, Tuesday through Friday. And at the top of the year, I knew I wanted to bring the podcast back, but I honestly I was a little leery about if I wanted to or not. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. So I started looking for events to attend so I could learn more about the business. So if you don't know, I started Table Talk with Toddy in 2016. And that was long before podcasting became a trend. And I still feel like I'm just not far enough in this. And it's because I kind of plateaued and flatline, essentially. You know, I found a rhythm. I found a process that worked for me with recording, but I got bored with it. And I got bored with it because I was not continuing to educate myself on the industry, on the ins and outs of what I was doing. And so I knew at the top of the year that was something that I needed to prioritize. And so I came across Podcast Movement, started following them on Twitter and on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm sorry, I lied, not on Instagram. I followed them on Twitter, and I was really excited and felt good about investing the money and going to the event. So I bought my ticket, I booked my flight. And last week I flew in, and when I tell y'all, one of the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had. Now, I don't attend a lot of events, and it's mostly because the events that I have gone to, I kind of felt like I was networking down versus networking up or networking across. And I don't know if y'all know what that means, but networking up means you're in a room of people who are where you want to be. Nothing but people where you want to be. Networking across would be people who are maybe on the same level as you are, but y'all have mutually beneficial relationships, meaning I know how to do something that that person doesn't know how to do. They know how to do something that I don't know how to do. Let's connect, let's network, and let's make something happen for each other. That's what I mean by networking across. I'll do a whole nother episode on that if y'all want me to, like what my mindset is on networking, so that you're not going to all of the events in the city, but you're going to the ones that will help you to move the needle. And so went out to Vegas, and it was one of the most eye-opening experiences I have ever had in so many capacities. Now, I will say that some of the tracks on the first day, some of the rooms that I was in, I kind of felt like, oh, I already know that. And I didn't want to be, that's not what I paid to go for. And so thankfully by day two was jam-packed of sessions that just opened my eyes to so many things, was able to meet industry executives from Netflix. Like, did y'all know Netflix had a podcasting division? I know y'all didn't know that. And it's so strategic now, thinking about how, I'll give y'all a little nugget because I can't resist, right? Basically, Netflix has it where, for example, they have a show called, I think, The Crown. But when you get to the end of the Crown series, because, Netflix gives us all of the episodes at once. So we binge, right? It's binge consumption. When we get to the end of The Crown, if you watch it, and this is just an example, at the end of The Crown, now they tell you, hey, we got a podcast where we're going to discuss these episodes. So that's how they kind of keep you in the loop and keep you on their platform. So I thought that was very, very, very interesting. And so Netflix, industry execs I met from iHeart Podcasts, iHeart Radio, Spotify, some of the platforms I use for hosting, Libsyn, ConvertKit. There were so many people there, so many independent podcasters. I was able to meet some amazing people, but my bestie from the conference was Natalia. Shout out to Natalia if you're listening. Her and I, we naturally clicked so well, and she just had a really great spirit. We both have connected even after the conference, and we're excited about doing some collaborations. Also met a young lady named Kelly who I really bonded with really well. So I'll be sure to share their information in the description. I hope I remember. But they were just two of many amazing people that I was able to meet at the conference and network with. And it was amazing because I went to this event with my goals for the year for my podcast. And I also went a little confused as to if I wanted to keep this podcast. I felt like, do we really need another business entrepreneurship podcast? Do we really need that? Or can I resist not talking about it and get more into like what I really want to talk about in this season? And I left that conference very clear on what I needed to do. As a matter of fact, I met a podcaster who told me that she had just launched a separate podcast as well, one that was honing more into non-business related topics. And so I left with confirmation. I left very clear on what my next steps should be. And so that's why I'm extra, extra excited about bringing this podcast back, reviving new life into it, but kind of honing down on what the topics are here. You will continue to get real conversations about my life from my perspective as a creative living in the 21st century, as well as individuals who I believe can contribute to that conversation in a healthy way. But I'm going to mostly keep this platform about entrepreneurship, business, and branding. You won't hear me going too much into relationships and my dating life and any of those types of topics anymore, just because I want to kind of niche this down specifically for entrepreneurship, business, and branding. And then I noticed with the last few episodes I dropped that were like 5 minutes or less, you guys really liked them. Those downloads really showed that you listened to the whole episode because it's less than 5 minutes. And so I'm thinking about maybe doing more of those more frequently here, giving you more bite-sized content versus long, hour-long episodes. And so let me know what you think about that on social media. If you like that idea, if that sounds like something that you would better like or would better fit your lifestyle versus an hour-long episode. But coming soon, I will be releasing a brand new podcast show where I'm going to sit down with women who aren't heard from enough, but who are making powerful moves in their industries. This show is going to allow me to get my Oprah on and really get into the minds of some of the women whose ambition inspires me every single day, y'all. I follow and am connected to some amazing women. And when I go to Google like interviews they've done or Google their story, it's like I don't really see much information. And so those are the women that I want to sit down and talk to, because I'm just kind of like in a curious season where I'm really intrigued by women who have families, who have kids, single moms who are making millions of dollars, female entrepreneurs who have lost their significant others and are still building empires. I want to talk to those women and, ask them the questions and get the insight that I know so many of the women that are connected to me want to know about. And so stay tuned for that. Super excited about that. I can hardly wait. And so those are all the updates I have for now. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but I did want to come on and just kind of shake hands again, because I am going to be dropping some new episodes here on the podcast really soon. And I didn't want to drop them without coming in and speaking to you and kind of bringing you up to speed with where I've been, what I've been doing, and all that good jazz. So let's talk real quick about how we can connect beyond the show. First and foremost, you can go to natashaweston.com. That is always available and at your disposal, and check out all facets of me and everything I have to offer. You can also sign up for my group chat newsletter, and I would love to hear what you would like to receive in those newsletters. And so I don't like long drawn out emails. I'm trying to get away from that. And so I'm also considering maybe instead of doing the email thing, doing the text message thing. So hit me up on social media and let me know what content you would like to receive in the group chat. Do you want to just hear about my personal journey? Do you want like weekly tips about building your personal brand? Do you want access to resources? Let me know. Give me some idea about what it is that you would like to receive, and maybe like what's missing from the list you're already on. What don't you like about them? Because I'm here to make sure that this is a mutually beneficial relationship. And I know how I hate receiving crap in my email. So I don't want to be sending you stuff that you're going to delete or not open. And of course, last but not least, let's connect on social media. My handle is literally the same everywhere, at Official Toddy. All of the links will be in the description, but I'm mostly hanging out on TikTok these days, and I'm trying to get my TikTok numbers up. So make sure you connect with me over on TikTok as well, at Official Toddy. That is it, ladies and gents, for today. I love you guys so much. Again, thank you for still being here. I appreciate you, and I cannot wait for the next episode. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.